GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, Montreal. I'm Lauren Dupuis. This Saturday, we celebrate the Haïti and Folie Festival's 20th anniversary, and a new study shows extending the Orange Metro line could pull thousands of cars off our roads. Later, the STM rolls out its first electric buses. Over to you, Ryan.
The Montreal Roses fell to visiting AFC Toronto last Thursday, with the visitors securing a win.
Lauren Rowe and Kaylee Hunter each scored second-half goals, giving Toronto sole possession of third place in the Northern Super League.
The final score was 2-0 in favor of Toronto, extending their lead in the league standings.
All right, let's get into it. The Montreal Roses lost 2-0 to AFC Toronto, Rowe and Hunter scoring. Toronto now holds third place. Good morning, Montreal. Yesterday, the Haïti and Folie Festival marked its 20th anniversary, reaffirming its status as the largest Haitian cultural celebration outside Haiti. Founded by actress and activist Fabienne Colas, the two-decade-long event filled downtown venues with vibrant music, traditional dance, and visual art that highlighted the richness of Haitian heritage. Over the weekend, audiences streamed from the plateau to the Old Port, enjoying performances by established musicians and emerging singers, as well as workshops and art installations. Organizers noted that each year the festival draws thousands of visitors, strengthening community ties and promoting cultural exchange across the island. The anniversary program also honored the founders and longtime volunteers who have kept the celebration alive since its inception in 2006. The success of yesterday's festivities underscores the enduring appeal of Haitian culture in the city.
An ARTM study released early this morning says that finishing the Orange Line and looping it back into the east could pull thousands of cars off one of the island's busiest roadways. The analysis projects that a completed line would spread transit coverage across the city, giving riders a direct north-south option where the current terminus sits at the eastern tip. Planners say the added stations would lure drivers out of their vehicles, easing the choke points that have long plagued commuters. The report highlights potential cuts to traffic snarls along the heavily used corridor, promising smoother rides for both motorists and subway users. Officials stress that the extension is a long-term solution aimed at cutting congestion and encouraging more people to choose public transit over the car. The study was commissioned by the Regional Transport Authority to guide future investments in the network.
3 children died while under the care of the Batcho Youth and Family Centers in Montreal, sparking staff accusations of a systemic problem within the agency. The deaths, recorded in March, involved a 4-year-old girl, a 16-year-old boy, and a 17-year-old boy. Employees of the center said the tragedies expose deep-rooted flaws in the way the Department of Youth Protection oversees the network. Batcho, which runs shelters and services for vulnerable youth, has faced growing scrutiny after the cases emerged. Provincial officials have not yet released a detailed investigation, but the department acknowledged the incidents and promised a review of protocols. The families of the 3 victims have expressed grief and demanded accountability. Advocates for at-risk youth called for immediate reforms, warning that the loss of 3 young lives signals a broader failure to protect those in state care.
Today, the United Kingdom announced a ban on the sale of energy drinks to anyone under 18, a policy that mirrors the restriction already in place in Quebec. The British government said the measure aims to curb health risks among young people, and it will take effect immediately. Quebec officials welcomed the move, noting their own law has been in force for several years and has already prohibited retailers from selling caffeinated beverages to minors. In contrast, the federal government in Canada has said no similar legislation is forthcoming, leaving the country without a nationwide limit. Both the Quebec and UK ministries highlighted the need for parental awareness, while Canadian health authorities were not quoted on any pending action. The new rule adds the UK to a small list of jurisdictions restricting energy drinks for underage consumers.
Yesterday, the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador left the press room without confirming whether a final energy pact with Quebec will materialize. While the 2 provinces continue talks on a revised framework for the Churchill Falls hydroelectric complex, the Premier's remarks underscored lingering uncertainty. Officials said negotiations remain in a delicate phase, with both sides weighing technical, financial, and regulatory hurdles. No timeline was offered for a definitive agreement, and the premier declined to speculate on when a deal might be signed. The lack of clarity comes as Quebec's Energy Ministry pushes for a swift resolution to secure long-term power exports. Stakeholders in both jurisdictions are watching closely, aware that the outcome could shape regional electricity markets for years to come. Analysts warn that delays may affect electricity pricing for manufacturers in the province and could influence future investment decisions in renewable projects. Next up, the SDM's new electric bus rolls onto our streets, plus a quick weather peek. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a chance to stretch. Up next, Ryan Mercer has the local stories you need to hear this morning.
Yesterday, the Société de Transport de Montréal launched a brand new electric bus model, adding 4 zero-emission vehicles to the streets. The agency says the rollout is part of a broader push to modernize public transport and cut downtown pollution, a change commuters will notice on their morning routes. SDM officials are already working to grow the fleet, with a target of 147 additional electric buses by 2028. The expanded fleet promises quieter rides and fewer greenhouse gas emissions, benefits that should be felt by riders and nearby residents alike. The 4 new buses are now running on the network, and the agency plans to introduce the remaining vehicles gradually through the next 2 years. As the electric buses become a regular sight, drivers and passengers are getting accustomed to the smoother acceleration and quieter cabins, marking another step toward a greener transit system.
Heavy rains in June flooded parts of Pierrefonds Roxborough, leaving homes soaked and walls ruined. A month later, residents are still hauling piles of floorboards and drywall, trying to clear the mess and repair damage. Many families report spending thousands on contractors and material replacement, straining budgets already tight after the storm. Local officials say the water level rose quickly, overwhelming drainage and forcing several streets to close. Cleanup crews have been deployed, but most of the work falls to homeowners who must sort through soggy plaster and soaked flooring before rebuilding. The lingering debris hampers everyday tasks, from moving furniture to cooking, and delays the return to normal routines. Neighbors are sharing tools and advice, but the financial toll remains a heavy burden for the community. The debris consists mainly of floor panels and drywall sheets, many of which remain damp and require safe disposal.
CF Montreal completed a roster move yesterday, bringing forward Brian Ceballos from the New England Revolution while sending defender dagger Dan Thorhalson to the same club. The deal included $500,000 in general allocation money. Ceballos, a versatile attacker, adds depth as the team pushes toward the playoff race. Thorhalson will look for playing time with his new side. The allocation money exchange reflects MLS's system for balancing salaries and roster spots. Fans can expect Ceballos in training this week, with a possible debut as the club readies for its next home game. The move gives coach Patrice Lair more options up front as he fine-tunes the lineup for the upcoming match against the league's western rivals. Ticket holders will see Ceballos in the green and white jersey later this month.
Yesterday, the Société de Transport de Montréal announced it had pinpointed 8 zones that could gain from expanded transit service, and said it will examine each area in detail. The authority explained the review aims to map where new bus routes or light rail extensions could close gaps in coverage and ease crowding on existing lines. Officials noted the study will involve ridership data, travel patterns, and community input, with results feeding into the next long-range plan. By focusing on neighborhoods that currently lack frequent service, the agency hopes to guide future investments that match residents' daily commutes. The 8 targeted zones span the island's northwest, east end, and southwest sectors, where growth and demand have outpaced current options. The review is part of a broader effort to modernize the network and improve accessibility for riders across the city.
Obstetricians and gynecologists across Quebec, together with the Medical Specialists Federation, have filed a court challenge alleging a gender-based pay disparity among physicians. The lawsuit claims that female doctors consistently earn less than their male counterparts despite comparable training and workload. Plaintiffs argue the gap has persisted for years, undermining equity within the health system. The case, opened this July, is now before the provincial courts and is expected to proceed over the coming months. Legal experts note that the outcome could set a precedent for how compensation structures are reviewed across the province's medical community. Earlier complaints from the board highlighted similar discrepancies, prompting the action. The Federation emphasizes that the lawsuit seeks not only back pay, but also changes to formulas used in hospitals and clinics.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what the morning has in store for Montreal.
A stagnant high-pressure ridge holds the jet stream aloft, sealing in dry, summer heat for Montreal. On this date, Montreal once burned to 31 degrees, a record set in 2020 during a persistent heat wave that pushed the southern jet far north. The cold counterpart fell to 9.1 degrees in 2013, when an Arctic outbreak slipped through a weak ridge and blanketed the city in frost. By comparison, the climatological average high sits near 24 degrees and the average low around 16 degrees. Those extremes remind us how the same high-pressure pattern can flip from scorching to biting when the flow aloft changes. The live radar shows a completely blank canvas across southern Quebec. No echoes appear over the St. Lawrence Basin, confirming the absence of any rain or snow this morning. The quiet scan reflects the dominant high-pressure ridge that suppresses lift and the sluggish northeast jet that fails to inject moisture into the region. Expect the clear pattern to linger, with the next measurable echo not arriving until later in the week. At 7 a.m., Montreal sits at 17 degrees with a clear sky, humidity high at 86%, and a light 2 km/h wind from the southwest. A strong high-pressure ridge dominates, holding steady and keeping the air mass warm and dry. Overhead, a weak northeast jet streams at roughly 14 km/h, barely nudging the ridge and allowing sunshine to dominate. Temperatures climb steadily, reaching 25 degrees by noon and peaking near 28 degrees in the mid-afternoon. By sunset, the mercury eases to 27 degrees as the ridge begins to edge eastward. The ultraviolet index registers 6, and wind remains below 25 km/h throughout the day. No weather alerts are in force. Saturday continues the high-pressure dominance with a high near 28 degrees and a low around 16, keeping the sky clear from dawn to dusk. Sunday, the ridge retreats, allowing a moist airstream to drift in, pushing the high down to 25 and the low up to 17, while clouds blanket the city. Monday brings another overcast spell. Temperatures hover near 27 with a low of 20, and the model shows a 30% chance of rain in the evening. Tuesday spikes to a warm 30 degrees high, low staying around 20, as the moist flow intensifies and brings a 50% rain risk. Wednesday turns cooler, high only 20, low 18, and a heavy 70% rain threat as the jet dips south, feeding a lingering low-pressure system. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up, traffic updates, a look at Festival Haiti on Fire, the Canadians' road opener, and Tim Hortons' hiring news. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
All major routes are moving freely this morning. Autoroute 15 is clear from the island to the South Shore with no slowdowns. St. Laurent Boulevard runs smooth and St. Catherine Street shows steady flow through the downtown core. The Daiquiri Expressway reports light traffic and the Champlain Bridge is open with normal speeds. No transit delays are reported, so the metro and bus lines are running on schedule. Looking ahead to the afternoon, keep an eye on the construction zone on Autoroute 5 near the Daiquiri interchange. Expect a lane reduction and modest backups once the rush builds. St. Dominique and St. Urbain will likely see higher volumes after school dismissals, and the downtown core can get congested around the Place Ville-Marie area as office workers head home. The commuter rail line heading towards St. Jean is on time, but expect a few extra riders this evening. That's the traffic picture for now.
J. Cole lights up the Bell Center tonight, delivering a hip-hop showcase for anyone craving live energy, with his biggest hits on stage. Across town, Saputo Stadium hosts the CF Montreal vs Inter Miami clash, a soccer showdown that could reshape the season and decide playoff positioning. If you're in the mood for culture, Festival Haiti on Fire rolls through Parc La Fontaine, offering vibrant music, an arts fair and mouth-watering Haitian cuisine, a great spot for family and friends. Meanwhile, the village au Pied du Courant becomes a battle arena for the Red Bull Dance Your Style Canadian National Final, where elite street dancers duel in freestyle. The winner earns a place on the World Tour. Looking ahead, Ariana Grande's Eternal Sunshine Tour lands at the Bell Centre later this week, and the Summer Fun Festival kicks off at Mercer Central this weekend with free games, slime making, and live entertainment for families. A perfect way to beat the heat. That's your quick guide to today's highlights. And now here's Tyler with sports.
Local soccer and hockey news keeping Montreal fans busy this morning. A tough night for the Montreal Roses in Northern Super League play on Thursday. AFC Toronto came to town and left with a 2-0 victory as Lauren Rowe and Kaylee Hunter each struck in the second half. Goalkeeper Sabrina D'Angelo turned away 2 shots, lifting Toronto into sole possession of third place. Mark your calendars, Habs fans. The Montreal Canadiens are scheduled to open the 2026-27 NHL season on September 29, heading straight to Toronto for a date with the Maple Leafs on opening night. Edmonton and Vancouver will face off in the other All-Canadian marquee matchup that same evening. A chapter has closed in Montreal. The Canadiens have traded forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. CBC Sports reported the deal, marking the end of Gallagher's run with the organization where he spent the bulk of his NHL career.
Tim Hortons, with bustling cafes from the Plateau to Verdun, is more than a coffee stop. It's a daily meeting place for Montrealers. The chain just announced a 10,000-person hiring initiative, part of a $400 million expansion that adds new stores and renovates existing ones. By bringing fresh jobs to neighborhoods across the island, Tim Hortons aims to give local families stable work and keep the aroma of fresh coffee alive on every corner. For many, a Tim's cup is the first thing in the morning, a familiar ritual that ties together commuters, students, and retirees. That's why the brand matters. It fuels our mornings, and now, with more Montrealers on its team, it strengthens the community from the inside out. Stay tuned for a feel-good story as Tim Hortons pledges to hire 10,000 local Montrealers, bringing new jobs to our neighborhoods.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMNA for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
At the Place des Arts, the Saturday night gala for Just for Laughs glowed with anticipation as Montrealers gathered under chandeliers that mirrored the city's winter sky. On stage, legendary comic Jerry Seinfeld, who first graced the festival in 1989, stepped up to the familiar microphone, his smile as warm as a sunrise over St. Lawrence. The audience, a blend of longtime fans, families, and comedians, leaned in as he began to riff on everyday quirks, pausing to salute the city's love of poutine and its legendary snow drifts. One vivid moment captured the room. A little boy in a Canadian sweater burst into giggles when Seinfeld quipped that even his taxi driver could out-joke a stand-up, and the hall erupted in a joyful roar. The laughter lingered long after the final punchline, a reminder that Montreal's spirit thrives on shared moments of joy. After the curtain fell, the crowd spilled onto the plaza, trading stories over steaming cups of café au lait, strangers becoming friends, each carrying a brightness into their day. That's why evenings like this matter, because they stitch our community together with the power of a laugh.
On a crisp Saturday morning on Rue Saint-Denis, a crowd gathered outside St. Laurent Market to watch the unveiling of the first Chinese-made electric vehicle to roll onto Quebec streets. Families with coffee cups, seniors from the nearby community center, and a handful of local mechanics leaned in as a sleek silver sedan glided forward, its silent motor humming like a breeze through brick arches. Among the onlookers was 8-year-old Maya, whose father works at a downtown tech startup. She pressed her hand to the cool door, eyes widening at the futuristic dashboard that displayed a sunrise over the St. Lawrence River. A few meters away, veteran mechanic Jacques, who has spent 3 decades repairing gasoline engines, smiled and said the moment felt like a new chapter for the city clean energy meeting the pride of a multicultural neighborhood. The event wasn't just about a new car. It was a sign that the province's 400,000 electric vehicles are now part of a growing global family, and that Montreal's streets will soon hum with quieter, greener journeys. It's a reminder that progress feels most alive when we share it together.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the local sunrise. Tonight's look at the Haïti and Folie Festival's 20th anniversary reminded us of the city's vibrant spirit. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Until then, stay curious and take care.